my job requires me to look after many sick people. When looking at patients, I do not judge them by race, sex, skin color, or religion. I just treat them as human beings who all have equal rights. Everyone should have equal rights, especially a right to worship their God and a right to establish a place of worship. I want my children and future generation of Muslims to be able to learn about their religion, have a place to worship God, and gather with Islamic community here in Temecula. As long as the construction of the mosque fulfills the requirements set out by the city, then there is no reason for people to against it. Doesn't the First Amendment allow all people a right to exercise their religion? If there is an issue with qualification and rights, then people can rightfully be against the building of Islamic Center. But if it is an issue of hate and ignorance, then there is no reason for this protest and false report about Islam. I pray that there is a better understanding to people who have set prejudice against Islam. Thank you all for your time.
Bisma Rilton, to be followed by Pastor William Ranch.
Good evening. My name is Basma Raihan. I want to thank the supporters and the non-supporters of building the mosque. One of the greatest parts of being an American is the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. Sometimes we oppose things because we fear the unknown. I'm here to share with you and some of my research that I conducted about 3 years ago in the Temecula mosque. The methodology that I used conducted of interviews, questionnaires, and observations. When I finished this observation or this research that I conducted, I wrote a paper and I submitted it to the National Communication Association, NCA. This is competitive nationwide. They chose my paper and I presented it. I talked about, the title of the paper is called The Language of Ramadan, because what I found in the Temecula Valley Community Center, ICTV, is that Muslims from all parts of the world come together and they are united. This religion unites people of all ethnicities. This is a wonderful thing to bring into our community. My conclusion is that ICTV, Islamic Center of Temecula Valley, is the place to unite people and open its doors to all people, not just Muslims. I urge you, instead of fearing the unknown, to become familiar with your Muslim community. I promise you will not be disappointed. You will be pleasantly surprised. Thank you. This is a place, thank you. This is a place where we embrace diversity, but most of all is what we embrace is tolerance, and that's what it's all about. Being tolerant of other ethnicities, other races, other people. That's what America stands for, and I'm so proud to be an American citizen. Thank you.
Pastor William Ranch, to be followed by Ali Zamani.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak for a few moments concerning the matter before us, and I do appreciate some of the Muslim folks that I've talked to personally, one-on-one, individually. None of them have suggested some of the things about us who oppose the mosque that some others tonight have. I've heard the terms fear and hatred and paranoia and bigotry and Islamophobia and masking and so forth like that from some that don't know us and don't know anything about us and don't know why we oppose the building the mosque and the issues related. So I do appreciate the fact that the ones I've talked to one-on-one have not expressed those same kind of feelings about us who oppose the building the mosque. We had about 50 of our people here tonight, but I didn't ask them to speak. A few of them may, but I didn't ask them to, because frankly I didn't want to be here till 1 o'clock in the morning. So I wanted to just summarize some of the things that we are concerned about, in spite of the fact that several have suggested that it's not about, that we're not concerned about traffic, and we're not concerned about the floodplain, and we're not concerned about the size of the building. Those are the concerns that we have. We have spoken with the two of the leaders that spoke tonight from the mosque and suggested to them that wouldn't it be more appropriate for them to find 10 to 15 acres to build what they want to build on, and frankly both of them agreed with it. Their fear was that they couldn't do that and have the help of the city to do it and be able to profit from it in doing that. So they at least expressed a willingness to consider that possibility if this doesn't work out. And so our standpoint from Calvary Baptist Church is not that there be no mosque anywhere, anytime. That's not our position. It never has been our position. But our concerns are what we believe the inappropriateness of the location for the size of the facility they want to construct. If it had been that large and been a Mormon church, or had been a Presbyterian church, or had been another Baptist church, we would still be here opposing the construction of a building like that. And the floodplain issue is a very real one. We were made to go to a hydrology study with the county when we built our first building, and it was specified that we had to be above 1161 on our building in the elevation, and that we could not build anything in the front half of our property other than the parking lot, and that parking lot could not be elevated or lowered. It had to remain at the level that the existing land was. So if the mosque builds that building, elevates that property next to us, they're going to impede the flow of the water, which doesn't go, as the architect suggested, doesn't go from the top down. It goes from east to west is the flow of the floodplain. And we were told by the county that we could not impede the flow of the floodplain and back that water up onto our neighbor. So that was this is a real concern. I did not know that the elevations of this proposed building were so much higher than the level of the property now, and I did not know that they were going to raise the entire front of the property but bring the back to the front. That will put us in a situation of being in a bowl where we will be flooded out in a 100-year flood or a 500-year flood especially. So I'm certain that FEMA will not approve that, and I'm glad that the city is keeping the position of requiring the FEMA study to be done, because that was what we were referred to with the county back so long ago when we were told that. So our property at 1161, our building, the floor level 1161, and we're told tonight that the mosque is going to be 1163. That's 2 feet higher than our building as it sits back in the back half of our property. And yet the graphs that they showed suggested that the mosque was 2 feet lower than our property. So there's a problem there with the numbers someplace. And so I have a real concern with that, and I'm glad that the city has suggested that that's not going to be something that will be changed in the conditions. The parcel map that exists for this property clearly shows the floodplain line being nearly halfway back on their property, and so it's a matter of record that it's there. And so that's all I wanted to mention, and I appreciate the hard work of the council and the city of Temecula in regard to the community.
Thank you.
Ali Zamani.
Wait.
Excuse me.
Mr. Nagar has a question.
Pastor, real quick, can you come back? Just real quick. You know, I know Pastor Wrench. I know his heart. I know that what he says is sincere. I just have a question for you, sir. You had mentioned and you had outlined some concerns. If we mitigate those concerns, are you okay?
Yes, we have. You know, we've always been in the position that we uphold the values of our country, our Constitution. We uphold the right of religious freedom for all people, no matter what they worship or how they worship. We agree with all of that. So our concerns do relate to the traffic, and they do relate to the floodplain, and they do relate to the things that we've continued to bring up as our first and foremost problem with the location of the mosque.
So, so I just want to reiterate the question for clarity. If we take care of those issues, and you're a neighboring property to this property, I mean, you mentioned some flood issues, you mentioned some traffic issues, things of that nature. They're all valid issues. If we take care of that, if I understand you correctly, you're okay with that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, very good. And then my last question, or I guess exhortation to you, is just trust us to do that. We'll take care of that. But I just wanted you to know, and I appreciate your sincerity.
All right, appreciate that, Mike.
Ali Zamani, to be followed by Lana Tomlin.
Hello, I'm Ali Zamani. I've lived in Temecula for about 8 years, and I attend Chaparral High School. I'm a junior, and I go to school with your children. As stated before, our country was built on religious freedom. It's really actually funny because once people find out that I am a Muslim, I suddenly feel treated differently. If only all of you who seem to hate us could only walk a day in our shoes. We all worship God, whatever God that may be, period. You can read any religious text on this planet, and I guarantee you they all say the same thing. Anyway, let me ask you this. Do you really want your children to grow up in a society like this with all this hate surrounding us? I know I don't. As far as traffic conditions go, Mr. Butler actually stated this earlier, that traffic problems were present way before the building of the mosque was introduced. Hence, therefore, the traffic problems will not increase drastically if the building of this mosque is approved. We're not asking for any special treatment, only equality. Thank you.
Lana Tomlin, to be followed by Jacqueline LeBeau.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Planning Commission, City Attorney, and staff. My name is Lana Tomlinson. I am a resident of Murrieta. Throughout the process that resulted in an appeal for the mega mosque to obtain a conditional use permit, it has been said that the Religious Freedom Act would be somehow violated to the extent that you have in effect allowed a substandard CEQA document to be approved. I bet every developer would like such an easy response in getting their development through the city of Temecula, not to speak of the Greek Orthodox Church. The city attorney has raised such a concern about the Religious Freedom Act, both to the Planning Commission and to the city, that I don't believe the Planning Commission has done their job properly. It will be interesting to see how this will all play out in terms of major traffic concerns in the future. However, let's step aside for a second. There are a few bigger concerns that we need to look at. They run deep. These concerns are about our individual civil liberties that are guaranteed for all people under the laws of our Constitution. It is a granted right under our Constitution that all people, including Muslims, have a place to pray and worship whatever their religious and or spiritual beliefs are. There is also another right that this country has, and that is the right that we are granted individual freedom and self-determination. I have a problem with what went before the Planning Commission and now what is being given here to the City Council, in that Sharia ideology associated with the intended use of the facility professes a system of governance that removes the individual rights and subjects its followers to sanctions and conditions that are in direct conflict with the laws of this great country. Approving a CEQA document that was blatantly substandard will be demonstrated in time by major traffic congestion. However, should an inkling of radicalization occur, one single incident that can be tied to this mosque or this imam, as was recently done in Orlando, I doubt that the mayor and the city council would want this on their watch, that they supported this kind of an ideology. Therefore, I pray to City Council that you would approve our appeal and take the time necessary to include a condition of approval that is a requirement that no civil liberties or individual rights will be lost by the approval of this conditional use permit. And if such liberties are lost, then the conditional use permit is voided. Thank you very much.
Jacqueline LeBeau, to be followed by Larry Slusser.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jacqueline LeBeau. I'm a Murrieta resident and a Temecula property owner. We're here this evening to support the appeal concerning issues about traffic as well as the lack of respect the concerned American citizens received from the Temecula Planning Commission in December. The city opened the door to speak about bigotry. Our traffic concerns were not answered or even acknowledged. The Commission stepped over the line and used bigotry as an excuse to sweep Temecula's brush with Islam under the rug in quickly trying to end any type of civilized debate until Temecula and surrounding area residents. Let me be clear. We believe that everyone has a right to pray and practice the religion of their choice. We object strongly to Sharia law, and contrary to what you believe, it can be eliminated from Islam. It is up to every imam in the country to stop hiding behind the Religious Freedom Act and speak out about Sharia law that has nothing to do with prayer and supersedes our Constitution. Without reform, we have a democratic right to speak up and question anyone who tries to pressure America in order to acquire world political dominance by using religion as an excuse. Sharia laws are governing laws that have been written down through the ages by high-standing caliphs who are considered supreme. They make laws that apply to situations within the community at the time and are considered the words of Allah. We, as concerned American citizens, delivered a pledge of friendship to Imam Harmouche. The pledge asked him to publicly denounce some of the most egregious Sharia laws. He refused to acknowledge our request. He missed an opportunity to be a hero, not only in Temecula, but in the country. Two men wrote that pledge. One man, Dr. Tawfiq Omid, is a Muslim from Egypt. He is actively brave enough to work on reform. Captain Manobak, a former Muslim apostate, participated in the writing and has come out of hiding to inform America about the danger of Islamic law. Both men have experienced the horror of the 7th century Islamic law. I am going to read one paragraph out of Dr. Tawfiq's, what does he call it? Anyway, here we go. We Muslims need to admit our problems and face them. Only then can we treat them and start a new era to live in harmony with human mankind. Our religious leaders have to show a clear and very strong stand against polygamy, pedophilia, slavery, killing of those who convert from Islam to other religions, beating of women by men, and declaring wars on non-Muslims to spread Islam. Then and only then do we have the right to ask others to respect our religion. The time has come to stop our hypocrisy and say it openly. We Muslims have to change. Imam Harmouche, instead of answering our pledge, aligned himself with Salam al-Mariyati, who is here this evening, for character support. Salam founded the Muslim Public Affairs Council. His support of terror organizations, we question. For both Imam Harmouche and Salam al-Mariyati publicly have not supported the United States ruling that Hamas and Hezbollah are terrorist organizations. Imam Harmouche also demonstrated with his mosque group here in Temecula on behalf of the Muslim students at California University of Irvine who were taken away by police during their angry interruption of a speech given by the visiting ambassador of Israel. The students' verbiage toward the ambassador included his comparison to a pig or a monkey. Yes, we are concerned about the mosque coming to Temecula, not only because of traffic issues that have not as yet been addressed, but also our concerns about the safety issues that might develop from within the mosque. We are strongly suggesting that the approval of this mosque be postponed until the site approval is revisited. In regard to the floodplain issues, a new traffic study is done showing the differences between mosque and church, a complete understanding of what type of teaching will go on within the mosque. If Imam Harmouche plans to teach the life of Muhammad, let me read a few hadiths that could cause concerns about radicalization. Pabari 9:69. I'm going to read this last one. Killing unbelievers is a small matter to us. These are Muhammad's exact words. There are more.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Slusser, to be followed by Rebecca Agbihizani. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Roberts and members of the Temecula City Council. My compliments on the use of our tax dollars. This is a beautiful facility. Thank you very much. Many of you know that I am a Mormon. I'm not here as a Mormon, though. I'm here as a father, a resident of this beautiful city, and a member of the Interfaith Council. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese soldiers bombed Pearl Harbor. It was a shocking event for the United States. The U.S. people were overcome with fear, and within 3 months of bombing Pearl Harbor, made a huge mistake. Driven by that fear, all those of Japanese ancestry, most of which were U.S. citizens, were rounded up, their property liquidated, and they were placed in internment camps. The fear that we had for the Japanese soldiers was transferred to everyone with Japanese ancestry. In time, the United States admitted that this treatment was wrong, and in 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed legislative apology. The legislation said, and I quote, "The government actions were based on race prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership." End of quote. As a result, the U.S. government distributed $1.6 billion in compensation. On September 11, 2001, a radical group of Muslims killed some 4,000 plus people in the United States. There has been many acts of terrorism by these radical Muslims before and after this event. Like the misguided attitude after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, many associated all Muslims with those who have done these terrible acts. It was wrong to transfer fear to a race in the days of World War II. It is wrong to transfer fear to religion for the acts of a few from that religion. My life has been blessed by being a member of the Interfaith Council. Because of this opportunity to be in this organization, I have gotten to know this congregation. I've had the opportunity to socialize with them, to worship with them. I'm not confused as to what they stand for, and I think anyone who would get to know them would not be confused. I invite all to either join Interfaith or to come to one of their open houses. They teach good principles, and they are good people. Currently, there's an Islamic center already in Temecula. It has been here for 15 years. And now that they want to build a new building, what's all of us? I urge the City Council to deny the appeal and to approve the mosque. This mosque will be a blessing to the city of Temecula. Thank you.
Rebecca, I'm going to let you tell me your name. AlGhazali, is that closer?
My name is Rebecca AlGhazali.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a California public school teacher. I'm Hispanic, and I'm also a Muslim. I also represent the Women's Council at the Temecula Mosque. It's very difficult to sit here and listen to what's being said when you're seated or as you're passing each other in the hallway or as you're waiting in line out front, because we all know that the issue is much more than just traffic, unfortunately. But as I tell my students, you know, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So instead of addressing it head on, I'm going to share a little bit about my life. I married my husband. We met in college, and I brought a child into our marriage. So I was married before. And my daughter was about 4 years old, and we were Methodist at the time. Nobody has forced me or imposed anything on me. 2 years into my marriage, I started to believe the things that my grandfather told me, and one of them was, a family that prays together stays together. So I began to research Islam on my own, and I converted. That's a misnomer. Most people believe that if you marry a Muslim, he forces you to become a Muslim. Some of the comments that I've heard while I've been sitting in here about Sharia law and how Muslim men beat their wives. My husband's never beaten me. He's never imposed anything about Islam on me. All three of my daughters have sought out education, and I have one that just graduated from university, and one that's studying public health, and one that's continually studying and raising her son, and I have a son. But my oldest is Methodist, and we ran a dual community, a dual household while the children were growing up. My husband did make that commitment to my grandfather that he would let my daughter choose, and he has abided to that commitment. My daughter went to church with my parents and my grandparents. We went with her when she was confirmed. She was an acolyte in her church. We were there. She comes to us. She comes with us to Eid celebrations and special activities at the masjid. She knows how to say prayers with us. The children know prayers that she says also. My younger children. Early on, when the kids were little, my oldest decided that the most significant thing for her during Christmas was giving. So she became Santa Claus to her little brothers and sisters, and they believed that the strongest focal point for her was, of course, Easter. So they became her Easter bunny. And all the while, my Muslim husband drove her to church, brought her home, and included her in the activities that we participated in. So can there be peace in this valley that we all live in? I certainly hope so. I think I live it every day. I have the good faith and this good counsel that you will abide by what the commission decided and allow us to build our masjid. And I employ all the people in this room to become our Santa Claus, and will become your Easter bunny.
Reverend Jose Ro, to be followed by John Church.
Good evening. Thank you for being so patient and hearing us all out. My name is Reverend Jose Ro, and I am a Temecula resident. I am the pastor of United Church of the Valley in Murrieta, and I am also the co-chair of the Interfaith Council. Last Monday, we celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Reverend King was a fourth-generation Protestant pastor who marched with Jews and Catholics for equality and proclaimed to this nation that we must learn to get to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. I have every confidence the City Council will deny today's appeal. I'm here to support the city's December decision to approve the proposed Islamic Center. I'm also here to voice friendship and support to the Muslim community here in Temecula, to let them know that they have friends and that they have neighbors and churches who care about their fellowship and their equality. You see, it's not the Islamic Center that would see us perish together as fools. It's not the Muslims in this valley that are failing to understand the value of our freedoms, or distorting the First Amendment, or spreading vicious propaganda against their neighbors, or pretending to be something in public while being something else in private. As a Christian pastor, I've received nothing but openness, friendship, and cooperation from the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley. It pains me to see Imam Harmouche dragged through the mud like this. On my first day as a pastor, he greeted me with warmness to this community, and he has done nothing but support the Interfaith Council and its mission of religious understanding and tolerance since the creation of the council. If this group was radical or extreme or anti-American, they would still have the right to build their mosque. But I would not be here advocating on their behalf, standing here in friendship. Let us not pretend that this issue is something that it isn't. It is anti-Islamic activism. I understand that there are people here who are fearful of Islam and afraid of what this Islamic Center represents. This nation has suffered greatly because of radical Islam. It is my hope that those opposing the mosque, or those who are in our community who are just simply concerned about its presence and don't know what to make of it, that they will see that the true danger to our freedom and our prosperity as a nation is not Islam, but those of any religion who seek to oppress others and undermine equality. The Imam of this community has been active on our Interfaith Council, and our mission of peace and religious understanding and education of the community is not divisive or oppressive. It doesn't advance a radical ideology. And him and I both believe that we can prosper together in coexistence, and that I personally believe that this Islamic Center will be a blessing to our community. And finally, I want to make myself and my congregation and the Interfaith Council available to you in any way outside of this event. There's a lot of work that we can do with the city in friendship and peace, and I apologize that this is only the second time I've been to your council meeting. We are in your service as citizens and as community leaders, and it is our goal, as it is the Islamic Center, just to bring our skills and our faith and our work to this community. So thank you for hearing us. I know this has been a long night for you, and I appreciate your service to our community.
Next speaker.
John Church, to be followed by Kristine Welsh.
Good evening, members of the council. I have a prepared statement here I'd like to read. I've changed it about 3 or 4 times. I've listened to accusations. I've listened to presentations by the Planning Commission, what have you. I think there's some errors in those things that they have pointed out. But let me continue on here. As a local citizen and member of Calvary Baptist Church Temecula, I would address this council on the ongoing issue that grips our community with the ramifications of what comes with the building of a mosque of Islam adjacent to Calvary Baptist Church. Those ramifications, while differing in totality of what is the passion of each our faith, is as well each our bias, and indeed we recognize and concede to such bias. Nonetheless, they remain passionate, speaking of the Muslims now, as their belief, and are determined to that end, and such as they should be if they're of that faith. But Christians are of the same, and we are just as passionate and just as determined. That does not mean that we cannot coexist. That does not mean that we cannot reach out as Christians and present the gospel of Jesus Christ to them, which we would do. And I'm sure they will, as readily, extend an opportunity to come to Islam. But the real problem here is the issues before this committee. And that's what we're addressing. That's what we're addressing, is that everything is fair for everyone. The floodplain is a major concern. I have issues with the traffic study where everyone says it seems to be okay. I think we've got some bad reference points there, because when you go out there, there is a traffic problem, there is an issue. And that issue will persist. And we're talking about mitigating this issue with future plans of opening up another road and what have you. But that hasn't taken place yet. You know, I am glad to hear that the totality of this proposal for building the complete Phase 1 and Phase 2 does have a condition on it, and that the floodplain has to really be looked at and studied, and that has to go before FEMA. That is a major issue. I think that courtesies have been extended here that were not afforded to the other churches. I have a problem with that. Those are my real concerns. If the mosque, when the mosque is built, if it's built there at that location, I will reach out to them and embrace them. And I will extend, as I said, the gospel of our Lord and Savior to them. And I'm sure they will reciprocate and extend a similar to me. Yes, we are all, you know, in this world, we are of different faiths. There are many different faiths in this country, and I recognize that. I don't have any hatred toward anyone. It's against God's law, biblically, for a Christian to hate someone. We're to reach out in love and consideration, and indeed we do. But that doesn't set aside the issues before this council. And that's what I'm addressing, is the issues before this council in regards to the floodplain, in regards to the traffic issues, and what's right with that. I follow my pastor's lead in this, and wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Kristine Welsh, to be followed by James Horn.
Good evening. I'm Kristine Welsh. I moved to the Temecula Valley 22 years ago, and I've attended Calvary Baptist Church all those years. I also attended the Planning Commission meeting about the Islamic building application and expressed my concerns. At the meeting, the Commission repeatedly asked us to stay on topic. Almost everyone speaking against the building of the mosque, with an exception of some, did not stay on topic. When those in favor of the mosque spoke, they refused to stay on topic and instead spoke one after another about what good citizens they are, how educated they are, and what good people they are. That's great. I'm glad they are. I welcome them into our community. But that is not the question. It is not whether or not they are good citizens or good cooks, but how the mosque will affect the community. At the end of the meeting, the planning commissioner showed disrespect to each of us in opposition of the mosque by accusing us of being hateful, even though it was not all of us that made comments. And I'm personally tired of people trying to tell me that I'm a hateful person. I am not. I too pray that the Muslim people will someday learn about the love and forgiveness of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm going to tell you what I told the Planning Commission, that my concerns are about traffic and about the parking. Nicholas Road currently is not adequate for the added traffic. And I would appreciate or like to have it improved before the mosque is improved. I know that roads are going to be built, Butterfield's going to be built through, but you know, that takes a lot of time. It always takes longer than initially, when it's initially put out there. It takes longer, so I would hope that would be addressed. Secondly, when Calvary Baptist Church built, you know, Riverside County had them do an environmental impact study and a kangaroo rat study, and the church ended up paying $25,000. I think the expense and the level of scrutiny that these reports caused were much different than what the mosque has had to go through with the MND report. Anyway, I still remain my argument that I made that day that we haven't had, the same requirements haven't been equal for both. Last, I want to remind you of how in years past the city of Temecula has listened to their residents. When Rancho Community Church wanted to expand their facilities, local residents came in droves to the city council meeting. I know some of you remember that. They talked about traffic issues and etc. And the request was turned down. The church had to sell their property and buy new property and move. Several churches wanted to move into the wine country area, and residents there protested. They weren't allowed to build there. So I'm asking you to once again listen to the Temecula Valley residents and turn down the building of this Islamic Center for the very same reasons that you turned down those other church applications. Please consider my statements. Reject the Planning Commission's approval of the mosque. Be consistent. Listen to the people of Temecula Valley once again. And please don't hide behind the attorneys. Thank you.
Mr. James Horn, to be followed by Rabbi Shiffrin.
Before I begin, may I ask a procedural question of Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
We have here 4 council members, not 5. So the question comes up, and I don't know if there's a precedent or a statute or whatever, I need you to answer that, that if the 4 members vote a tie at the end of this hearing, would the decision then made by the Planning Commission come forward and be deemed the decision?
Yes, that's what would happen. Unless the 4 members of the council realize that there would be a tie and would wait or refer it back to the Planning Commission. That would be an option for them too.
So if there's a tie, the Planning Commission determined it becomes. Some of us feel that what the Planning Commission did.
Mr. Horn, let me give you back your time. You just lost a minute. Okay. Can you put it back on
Absolutely.
5 minutes?
There you go.
Okay, now you're fine.
Okay, I'll start now. I'm James Horn, a U.S. citizen, a veteran, a resident of Menifee. I work and do business in Temecula. I used to live here. I oppose the mosque project. I am a sworn officer. I am even today a sworn officer of the law, and I serve the intelligence community as a subject matter expert on Islam. Throughout my life, I have often sworn the oath of office that includes my pledge to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This is why I am here. Look around. I see some who, like I, have sworn that same oath, and I also see some who may be enemies of the Constitution. I am not Islamophobic. That is a word fabricated by Islamists to denigrate those of us who, like I, are Islam aware. My December 8th, 2010 letter was sent to each council member. I discussed the mosque and the flaws with the plans that I brought before the Planning Commission on December 1st. Many others expressed their concerns with the facility, and it is a matter of record. Also a matter of record is the lack of input regarding the facility by the mosque supporters who were permitted to express political and religious views much based on fantasy in disregard to earlier restrictions imposed by the chairman. At the end of this presentation period, the commissioners sat not to deliberate, but to issue a rubber stamp approval that had already been posted on the city website, and then to ridicule those who spoke in opposition to the mosque. This was immature, irresponsible, and unprofessional, and demonstrated a clear bias and hateful bigotry. A clear bias and hateful bigotry directed towards mosque opponents. I demand an official apology and that it be made public. Without regard to political and religious concerns, this project amounts to parking a Peterbilt truck in a canary cage. A diamond emerges rough and unrecognizable, no matter how it is polished, with many facets designed to make it sparkle. Flaws remain, hidden deep inside, only disguised by the false glitter. This is Islam. I am an expert on Islamic terrorism. I gathered, collated, analyzed, and acted on intelligence to make American embassies and American officials in the Middle East safe from terrorists and bombs. Muslims have threatened me and attempted to kill me because I am a kafir, a non-believer, and because of the work I did. I do know Islam. I know what I'm talking about. One can peer through the facets of a rock polished to see the true nature of the stone. Islam as put forward by the Quran and the Sirah of Muhammad and the Sunnah. Islam is about conquest and domination, holy war, political fascism, violence, pedophilia and sexual perversions, rape for political purposes, bigotry, hatred, slavery, intolerance, and persecution of second-class non-believers, misogyny, the hatred of women and their murder in the name of honor, and more. This is not fantasy, but truth from the core of Islam itself. And this is what will be taught in the mosque in our community, a community that needs to remain a civilized place for future generations to enjoy, not a place under control and domination of Islam, which is the goal stated by the Muslim Brotherhood. Islam teaches that 20% of men and 80% of women will go to hell for no apparent reason. There is only one guaranteed path to paradise: as a martyr in a holy war, killing infidels or non-believers. This has little to do with personal goodness, decency, morality, and other things that guide non-believers. I understand that city council members may be reluctant to vote no to the mosque. These reasons may include fear of being sued every which way by the Alamas and their fellow travelers, political and financial influences, possible intimidation, or more. I am not demanding that the mosque be denied. That would be too much to ask of anyone at all. I ask that construction of the mosque merely be postponed for a while. Let's call it reciprocity. Until cathedrals with all of the trappings and unfettered freedoms are built in Mecca and Medina, in Cairo and Damascus, Islamabad, and many other cities within the realm of the Ummah.
Mr. Horn, your time is up.
That synagogues receive the same treatment when Ahmadiyas cease being persecuted, where Hindus, Buddhists, Shintos, Taoists, and others can build and occupy the same way. Until then, just wait. I ask that the City Council will honor your oaths of office, where you have pledged to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Thank you.
Rabbi Shiffrin, to be followed by Bob Cowell.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak. I think if somehow we could revive Shakespeare, he would be overwhelmed with the pathos that we see here today. The hand-wringing, the crying, I'm okay, you're okay. You know, I really could care less about that. I'm an American. I'm a second-generation Angelino, fourth-generation American. But my great-great-grandparents were immigrants. There's one difference between those immigrants and some of the ones we hear tonight. My great-grandparents told my grandparents, and it was told to me, you come here, you be an American. Now, I'm a biblical scholar, and I'm ashamed at the Jewish people that you heard here tonight. And I'm always amazed when people come to me, Rabbi, what kind of Narishkeiten are these people talking about? And I always tell them, my friend, don't ever forget that Karl Marx, too, was a Jew. So I'm waiting. Is the imam here tonight? Is he here right now? The leader?
It's called Imam.
I don't know anything about Arabic. I speak Hebrew, though. Fine. I'm waiting for you to take me on a trip to Saudi Arabia. Will you have me build a synagogue there? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Rabbi, hold it. Rabbi, would you address us?
Okay.
You talk to us for 5 minutes.
Let me tell you something, City Council. I've seen this before. Oh, now I've touched a sensitive chord. Okay, beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel so bad about it. You know, Mr. Roberts, I want to know from you, you were asked over and over again, do you condemn Hamas, yes or no? Yes, it is. Do you want a mosque leader in your community that supports what the United States of America has determined to be a terrorist organization? Is that what you want here? Do you want in Temecula a leader who will teach to subvert the constitution of this country through Sharia law? Is that what you want?
This is not the issue.
That's exactly the issue. It has nothing to do with parking.
Hey, that's it.
It has nothing to do with floodplains.
Rabbi, your time is up. Your time is up. Can I have a rational speaker, please? Do you have a rational speaker?
Bob Cowell, please.
Great.
To be followed by Diana Seraphin.
Yeah.
Bob Cowell had to leave. Okay, then Diana Seraphin.
I've got to put my glasses on. Good evening, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I've been all over Marietta and Temecula filming traffic signals and red light cameras. As a victim of T-bone accidents, one severe that I had 3 plastic surgeries, traffic safety especially, is really important to me. I've even submitted a petition in Marietta to make our signals safer. I went down to Cali Medusa and Nicholas Road and did my own little traffic study at 7:30 on 2 Friday mornings, and it was very cold. I videotaped the traffic. Nicholas Road is extremely busy, but the cars backed up on Medusa were 5 to 10 cars, and what I found, and I have it on tape, and you're welcome to a copy of it, is as soon as it cleared, 2, 3, 4 cars would run the stop signs. This is a very, very dangerous intersection. Someone is going to be severely hurt or killed. There were school buses. There was parents with kids in the cars. There was trucks. It's bad. If you want the video, I'll be glad to give it to you. I've got several of them. You'll see me in Marietta right now doing it. I would like to address a gentleman, and this is kind of off topic. He said that the Muslim faith doesn't want to hurt anybody. We've got many honor killings going on in courts. We had an honor killing in Chino Hills last year. The woman was stabbed to death by her husband because she's divorcing him. We have a trial going on in Arizona right now. 2 beautiful young girls were killed in Texas 2 years ago.
That's enough. Calm down. We need to get through with this for both sides, okay? Just calm down.
Human life and safety is important to me, and that's what I'm getting at. And there's one other trial going on in New York. Like I said, my name is Diane Seraphin. I've got an initiative I turned into Marietta. The traffic in both cities is horrendous, and safety is my primary concern. Thank you.
Rabbi Jim Kaufman, to be followed by Eric Green.
Other rabbi.
Rabbi Jim Kaufman. Okay, he's not here. Eric Green. He left. Okay, Gabe.
I think he got my message.
I have no last name, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gabe, and my wife and I live in Murrieta. I'm here tonight, and I am addressing some of the concern regarding the Islamic Center, the Islamic Center use permit. The city approved thousands of permits, the majority of which are for business and some for home of worship. All of them are very transparent in the way they use their spaces. Regarding the Islamic Center use permit, we don't have all the answers regarding the use of the space besides their prayer. Therefore, we are concerned if this is going to be used for the harboring of suicide center, or they are teaching Islamic law. They buy their books, read. Islamic law is perfect, universal, eternal. The law of the United States are temporary, limited, and will pass away. It is the duty of every Muslim to obey the law of Allah, the Sharia law. This brings up the other concern, Sharia law. Let's take a minute and find out what is Sharia law. It is an Islamic law which is the basis for every demand that the Muslim make over our society. Let me repeat, is the basis for every demand that the Muslim make over our society.
Can you name all laws?
Sharia law, political supremacy over the Constitution. There is nothing good for non-Muslim on the Sharia. This is why every unbeliever has the reason to know Sharia law, especially those in politics, in policy, the regulation, and legal matters. Sharia law is about unbeliever as well as the Muslim. Islam attitudes and action about unbeliever are political, not religious. Looking at the local phone book, I found 31 different denominations and 200 places of worship. None of them have caused such turmoil like the Islamic Center. And we ask, well, how come?
Gabe, you have about 30 seconds to go.
No, I need more, sir.
Huh?
I need some more.
Well, I'm not going to give them to you, so you better keep talking.
The Islamic Center is very simple. Because the other 31 denominations, they didn't bring the law. They are left in the old country. The Muslim, where they land, they bring and enforce the Sharia law. The Planning Commission have to realize that we have 250,000 residents under the sphere of influence when they decide to cast their vote. In that 225 residents, we find some of the group they were concerned about the Islamic Center. Also, we found the silent majority and the younger generation. Some of them are enrolled in the high school, in Temecula. Some of them.
Your time is up.
Well, I'm asking for some more time, please.
I'm not going to give you any more time. I actually gave you 15 more seconds than you were supposed to have.
Can you please give me another 15?
No. You're over. I have another 50-plus people that want to speak tonight and tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Karen from Murrieta, I'm sorry I cannot read your name. Frazier, something close. Please tell if you could spell that for me. To be followed by Wayne Hall and then Nam Young Horn. I'm sorry I couldn't read your name. Okay. If you could just tell me.
Fazzini.
Fuzzy.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Council, and staff. I attended the Baptist Church on the evening of a heavy rain. It was quite alarming. The amount of water coming across the land and the road, Calibre, it was just pouring across. And not being able to see at night, you know, what was actually happening on the land. I mean, I figured there had to be a pretty good sheet of water coming across. And what the thing is that or however this works out, the parking is paved on that lot. The water is even going to flood across the parking area and across the street that is there at Calibre. Right now, the land is absorbing the water. So whatever is happening is also being absorbed into that land. When the parking is paved, it's just going to sheet across. And as Pastor Wrench said, the direction of this water is going to be headed right over onto the Baptist property. Now there's a gully and a gutter there, and that evening it was overloaded. That is not going to prove adequate. It'll be worse with the additional flow of the water from the paved parking. So Calibre will not handle any quick exit of traffic for both properties. And also, Nicholas Road is a disaster with potholes. I mean, it's really detrimental to your tires, and any additional traffic is just going to make it worse. So somebody had mentioned about having the roads done beforehand, and that's really an excellent idea. And right now, for this other lot, there would be no off-site parking. If there are any additional cars coming, I don't know where they would park if it was not enough on the land to accommodate them. Also, they were talking about landfill. Well, landfill, when you put it in, it's going to settle. And it has to have enough time to settle. And so I don't know what they would be wanting to, if they're going to have the building on there or not. In addition to the flood issue, the distance these buildings are set back are really important, because the one thing you cannot change is water. And if it isn't done right up front, it'll be a detriment to that property and also the one next door. The other issue is, I said to my husband from the time we came here, how do people drive in a straight line on Winchester and get into so many accidents? And one night we're coming home, and a car turning, I guess, onto Nicholas had just rolled into the sidewalk on the other side. And just the other night, there was a rear ender. And I guess it was a pretty serious accident right there at that intersection. And there was a motorcycle a while before that had plowed into the back of a car. I mean, the congestion is really heavy. We travel it all the time. We live up Winchester. And so there, the traffic issue is a problem. And like on Nicholas, getting out towards the church, it's like 2 lanes. And if you're going to have quite a number of cars from both of the lots, how are they all going to function on that, ending up into 2 lanes? I know it goes from a few more down into the 2 lanes.
You're going to have to summarize. Your time is up. Your whole 5 minutes.
Well, you know, the other thing, too, is that people talking about, you know, twice in the Quran it states, kill Christians and Jews. And the Quran was written by Allah. And nowhere in the Bible does it state kill Christians and Jews. And also, the imam had a demonstration against Israel with Gaza. And
Karen, you're going way over your time. We have so many people.
Okay.
We're going to be here until 3 a.m. in the morning, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe Wayne Hall had to leave, so we'll go right to Nam Young Horn, to be followed by Mano Bach.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, good afternoon, you say?
Well, whatever.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Maybe good morning, sir.
I started out here in the afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon. Yeah. Whatever. It's nice to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Anyhow, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you had that table right there. I wish to have a food all over. Maybe we can have a potluck. Yeah, it would be more fun, right? Okay. My name is Nam Nyong Hon, and thank you, Susan, calling my name correctly. And I am a resident of Menifee, and I used to live in Temecula for quite a while. And I love Temecula, and I love anywhere, actually, around the world. I oppose the mosque project on Nicholas Road in Temecula. Everybody said that before me, everything I needed to say. But I am an immigrant, a naturalized citizen. One of my most valued possessions is a copy of the Declaration of Independence presented to me by members of the Daughters of the American Revolution on the day I was naturalized. To paraphrase from Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. But Islam religion don't practice that. That is, I have a problem with them. Because in Quran says, if you're not a Muslim, you shouldn't be even alive. And I think, am I wrong here? If you tell me I'm wrong, you are wrong. You know, I try my best what is the truth out there. I'm not blind. And I try to learn as much as I can because I seem to love this country so much. And I don't want any bad things coming in here. And you have a right to say no, just like we teach our children, say no to drug. Why we tell children say no to drug? Why? Can you tell me why? Because it's no good, right? But drug and Islam a little bit different here. Drugs, when somebody take drug, is they're hurting themselves. But Islam, if the Islam takes over, it's for everybody. It doesn't matter.
You lived in a Muslim country for 20 years.
Okay, it's my podium here. Thank you. Okay. Many immigrants from all parts of the world have come to America and have worked to assimilate to become real Americans. Others are working to remain separate from mainstream America. They are intolerant of what America is. Many people have addressed the numerous flaws of the proposed mosque. They are honest, decent people, patriots all, and they have been arrogantly dismissed by the Planning Department and Planning Commission. On December 1st, 2010, the Planning Commissioners ridiculed those of us in opposition to this monstrous symbol of Islamic political, economic, dualistic, social, legal, cultural, and violently hateful, intolerant dominance, calling me a racist and a bigot. I'll try my best with my accent. Anyhow.
You have 15 seconds.
Calling Mr. White a racist and a bigot. I hereby demand a public written apology from each of those commissioners and planning department officials who were present, as well as the city attorney who permitted this reprehensible behavior to go on.
Thank you.
Like others who stand in opposition to the mosque, are working hard to protect you on the city council and other good, decent people, including Muslims who speak out against Islam.
Thank you.
From what most of us
Mrs. Horn, you have to stop.
Just know, I almost done.
No, you have to stop. You're way over. You don't
this
understand.
Is a very important one. I will accept a modern Islam, excuse me. I will accept modern Islam that follows modern ideas of civility and decency and reject its.
They cut off the microphone. They cut off the microphone.
Okay, you're off. You're cut off. We can't hear you. Sorry.
Mono Bach. I turned off the speaker. I did.
Okay. No, not yet. Can we have the microphone back on, please?
Sorry.
And give Mr. Bach the full time, please.
Got it.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to my fellow Muslim, Salaam alaikum. Don't boo me, please. Please. I don't have the voice, and I don't have the wisdom. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak tonight on two distinct subjects. The first subject is about the one that you have the jurisdiction on, and you have the duty and responsibility to perform. And the other one is outside your jurisdiction. The basis of the study, hard work for the city planning, was the statement of operation. The statement of operation that mosque or Islamic Center has provided is incomplete, is not correct. They are not telling you everything. Therefore, the traffic studies, the parking, and everything is associated is based on the data they gave you as a state of operation. It does not cover many real activities that is happening in the Islamic Center. And those are, Islam is a religion that celebrates death more than life. Any imam that they give birth, they come to his word, is a celebration. When they die, is a ceremony of sadness. And it's being practiced. I give you a few Eids that they have. Eid Fitr, end of Ramadan. Eid Adha, that is sacrifice of lamb. I am sure, ladies and gentlemen, you are aware of, on November 16th of last year, there were 300 lambs were slaughtered right here in the Rancho, California, because of the Eid of Islam. Because that time the mosque was not ready. I'm asking the question, when they have the facility, are they going to conduct the same? They did that in the city of Temecula. Sir, it was in your city. 300 lambs slaughtered in the ranch of California. I ask you, beg you, please, do not boo me, do not entrap me. It's not fair.
What you're saying is not true.
Ashura, birth of Muhammad, Miraj, Shab Barat, Eid al-Qadir, all of them. There are 54 days a year that they are celebrating either with happiness or with sadness. And it is the responsibility of the Muslims to go to the mosque and participate. Those are not included in your study. They are talking about only a few hours of operation in the day, in the night, for a handful of people out of the 150 families. The 150 families that are saying they are requesting for 25,000 square feet mosque. I wonder, where is the judgment to understand what the 25,000 square feet is going to be used for a handful of people that they come in the morning and night? The second portion, that is not part of your jurisdiction, yes. I'm fearing from the unknown, but I have been living in it. I know Muslim. I'm a former Muslim. I was a captain in the Navy. I was promoted to an admiral. Khomeini came, and I didn't have my celebration. I know what Islam is, the truth about Islam. Those things that I learned tonight, I cannot believe it, that Sharia law is like a Ten Commandments. I studied in Italy. I grew up in Italy, and I was always known that Italian and French are the best cook. I'm glad to see the Muslims are competing with that.
Okay.
What I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, please voice up. I'm not asking for denial of the mosque. I'm not asking for issuing the permit. I'm asking for more study. Send it back to the city planning and tell them, do the job right, because there are so many pitfalls and so many holes in the planning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I move we extend. I move we extend to 2 a.m.
Second.
We have to extend.
I was just going to do it. All right. Okay, we're going to do about 10 minutes of break because we're going to now go until 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. All in favor on that? Aye. Okay, we'll start again at 12:15. And what everybody said, it is morning now.